Hi, I'm Cynthia, and in this video I will talk about flexible models for online learning and how we can adapt them to our new remote classes. First, a few broad definitions. Some courses are taught fully or primarily in person. These courses are usually always fully synchronous, which means everyone is doing the same thing at the same time. Some courses are taught remotely, meaning instructors and students can be in different places. Nowadays, this is mostly done online. These courses can be fully asynchronous, meaning each person will go through all content at their own pace and at different times. Or they can also have a synchronous component, which means at some point there will be meetings that everyone will attend remotely, but at the same time, via audio or video conference. There are also hybrid or blended courses, which are taught partly in person and partly online, in synchronous, asynchronous, or both formats. In these courses, the instructor usually decides what components will be conducted in person or online. But what if a student's schedule changes every day? What if a student has an emergency mid-semester? Should they just not take the course or drop halfway through? What if some of your students are spread out across different time zones and can't find a common time? Wouldn't it be great if a student could decide class by class whether they want to attend the course face-to-face or online and have the same learning opportunities in either mode? Here are all the possible participation paths for students. In week 1, they can attend online or face-to-face. In week 2, a student who attended week 1 online can decide to attend online again or come to class face-to-face. Similarly, a student who attended week 1 face-to-face can decide to attend face-to-face again or do it online, and so on and so forth. This flexible form of learning has been called many names. In the US, it is known as HyFlex, hybrid flexible, and that's the term I will use here. Most of what I'll talk about here comes from Beatty's 2019 ebook. Note that all these approaches arose pre-COVID-19 pandemic and feature students' flexibility to attend classes in person or online. If, like me, you will not be teaching face-to-face at all, these principles can be adapted to mean flexibility between attending classes online synchronously, like a live class via Zoom, Skype, Teams, etc., or asynchronously. So most of the time, when I say face-to-face class, you can think of it as online synchronous class. What are some benefits of HyFlex? For students, it means increased access to courses as it is easier to avoid scheduling conflicts, better control over their schedules, more learning resources. Some students might want to attend the same class face-to-face and online for further clarification, speedier fulfillments of requirements, and possibly reduced time to graduation. For faculty and administrators, it means higher enrollments, again, because of fewer scheduling conflicts. And in this way, it's then possible to serve more students with the same course. Also, fewer worries about classroom seat capacities and having an alternative ready in case of unexpected circumstances. On the other hand, we also need to consider some challenges. Students need good time management skills and strong motivation to complete all requirements. Remember Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. They also need access to technical resources and the ability to engage well with instructors and students online. Faculty and administrators need to develop courses that support both modes of instruction and create equal opportunities for students engaged in both modes. They also need to be able to manage the complexity of simultaneously running a face-to-face and synchronous online class, if that's the case, including tracking attendance and participation. It also involves time to learn new platforms and adjusting official course descriptions to reflect the flexible mode. Before designing a HyFlex course, keep in mind the following fundamental values. Learner choice, there should be meaningful alternative participation modes, and students should be able to choose how to participate every week, every day, or by topic. There should be activities and opportunities that lead to equivalent outcomes in all modes. What's used and produced in each mode is available to all students. For example, class recordings, chats, outcomes from activities, handouts, discussion boards, etc. And we should provide technology skills and equitable access to participation modes, also considering universal design for learning. These values will help you set up your goals, which will inform your instructional strategies and finally lead to relevant activities. With different students in different places, a very important issue is how to build a learning community with the whole class regardless of each student's participation mode. As educators, we're well aware of how essential interaction and community building are for learning success. But how exactly can we create this kind of community engagement and do it for all? First of all, we need to move away from teacher-centered instruction as much as possible and provide plenty of opportunities for interaction synchronously and asynchronously. Don't forget to consider interaction not just between instructor and students, but also among students. Projects are great for that, as they require people to work together to achieve a common goal. Besides working together to understand content, discussions, both synchronous and asynchronous, and shared reflections about the learning process itself can also bring students together as they figure out the best way each one learns. As they work independently, try to be a constant presence for students, especially the ones who choose to do most of their work asynchronously. Do constant check-ins, respond to discussion posts, encourage attending office hours, and if necessary, make some kind of synchronous interaction, even if remotely, mandatory. As far as assessment goes, there's nothing really new here. The usual principles of effective assessment apply, including aligning assessments with objectives, frequent formative assessment, and timely constructive feedback. Try to use different instruments like grading discussion posts and video or audio responses to prompts. All this flexibility and student control require careful planning to make sure students keep up with their course and don't fall into the trap of trying to cram everything asynchronously at the last minute. Even more so than in a face-to-face synchronous course, in a flexible format, it's essential to have all content, assignments, expectations for participation, etc. very clearly spelled out, preferably with frequent deadlines to complete discrete, smaller units of learning, a process known as chunking. You can also mandate a minimum number of synchronous hours students have to attend, and they can choose the days when they will do so. Here's an example of a Canvas module from a finance course. If you're teaching fully online, then synchronous online and on campus would be merged together. You see how the tasks are indeed pretty much the same. Note how we have to rethink the concept of class. It's not based on static preset days and times, but on a set of objectives and tasks that have to be completed within a time frame. Remember chunking? Note also how tasks are very clearly stated, and in this case, they use consistent headers like read, watch, and do. Remember the principles of equivalency and reusability? Here, some topics from in-class synchronous discussions can be added to the discussion board, and all the students can access the discussions on the board at any time. Willing to give it a try? Beatty suggests the following steps. Assess opportunities and challenges. Analyze and confirm or modify expected student learning outcomes. Plan student learning activities, content, and interaction. Prepare to assess learning outcomes. And evaluate the return on expectations. He has worksheets that can help guide you through the process. Phew! Finally, let's do a nutshell recap. HyFlex is a flexible learning model that gives students choice, class by class, over whether they will attend face-to-face, synchronously online, or asynchronously online. Students need to be ready to take more responsibility for their learning to make sure they can fully benefit from their choices. Instructors need to plan so that all modes of attendance will be equivalent in terms of fulfilling course objectives. All content can be later retrieved and is accessible to all. As in any course, creating opportunities for interactions between instructor and students and among students themselves is paramount. To learn more, I suggest starting with Brian Beattie's Open Access ebook, which is where most of the information I've shared with you comes from. That's it for now. Flex on, folks!